Okay. Well, Jenny's letting people in. I think we're going to get started. So just want to welcome everybody today to Connecting, Not Performing. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that we are coming to you from Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis, and we pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place. My name is Jessica Rorison, and I have the privilege of being the moderator today for this panel of creative women. I've been working with Sage Hill and the IBDS program for a number of years now, and I've also had the privilege of working with our three panelists numerous times as well. Truthfully, they are probably my three favorite experts. So for me, this is really a privilege, and I know them all personally, and I've worked with them all personally. And so it's just really fun for me to be here with Tammy, Brittany, and Josie today. So what we're going to do is, it is a panel, so a different format for IBDS. So we're just going to go around and I have some questions for each one. But before we get started, I just want to have a little time to introduce each one of our panelists. So Tammy Zdunich is a photographer and a feminine leadership facilitator with over 3 decades of experience supporting women and value-led brands. Through her photography, she creates relaxed, professional environments where people can be fully themselves, resulting in images that reflect confidence, presence, and their best expression. As the founder of the Well Collaborative, Tammy also leads women through circles, coaching, and community experiences rooted in intuition, connection, and sustainable leadership, helping women show up with clarity, authenticity, and impact in both their work and lives. And on a personal side, Tammy connects. I feel that Tammy's success really has contributed. She is successful because of her genuine nature. So I think that Tammy's presence is quite contagious, and people want to be close to her and want to work with her because they bring out something in themselves that only she's able to give. And so I have experienced that personally. And I know that because of her genuine nature on and off social media, I really do believe that her success is because of her ability to be just so genuine. Now, moving on to Brittany. So Brittany Bellamy is a corporate videographer and photographer with over 15 years of experience creating high quality visual assets for businesses. She studied film and media production at the University of Regina, spending 4 years learning how to tell stories with intuition and a sharp eye for detail. Among other things, she specializes in creating the foundational brand videos and photography businesses rely on to show up well online. Give her a camera and a clear message, and she's in her element. Now, I have worked with Brittany on a personal video and photography project with Merge, and as she will describe when we're going through some of the questions, she's used to being behind the camera and not in front of it. But when you're working with her, she has such a comfortable way of getting you to be genuine because of how she looks at you, how she acknowledges you, and you really do feel like the most well-spoken person and the most beautiful person in the room. And that is her gift. Now, moving on to our panelist, Josie LaChance. Josie is a rural business owner, an active community volunteer, and small business advocate who has spent over a decade helping entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and small businesses to navigate their online world and stay connected and relevant in a way that feels true and sustainable. Her approach focuses on building meaningful connections with customers while keeping social media manageable so business owners can stay visible without feeling overwhelmed. Josie is also a frequent presenter for Sage Hill and the IBDS Business Development Services program, and she has a natural way of connecting with our rural business owners. Josie is very active in Rosthern, our community. She is the president of the Rosthern and District Chamber of Commerce. She is comfortable creating beautiful environments for corporate, small business, personal events. She has such a magical way of adding beautiful touches at any budget. She is definitely somebody who is so welcome on the streets to speak to, either if it's business related or, she is very crafty in her own time with creating a very simple and beautiful life for her family. She does beautiful baking with sourdough. She gardens. She is so active in her family's life and business. Honestly, she is such a joy to have literally a few houses away from me. So honestly, I am just so thrilled to be here with these three women who clearly have impacted my life, and I know will impact you today as we go through these series of questions, and you will walk away feeling like you can be more genuine and learn a few things about connecting with your clients versus feeling like you are performing. Okay.
Can I interrupt for 1 sec? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I have somebody on the phone that needs the link. Can you send it to me that I can forward it to them? Because I'm not able to pull that up. Do you have that handy, Jessica? Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Sure,
They
I
can't
can.
find their link. Okay. Sorry, everybody.
Link. Yes. You know what? When I'm doing that, first, I'm just going to say to Brittany, maybe you could ask, I'm just going to ask her a question.
Yeah.
Brittany, when you hear connecting, not performing, what does that mean to you personally?
All right, everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Jessica, for those wonderful introductions. That was so nice. And as she said, I'm usually behind the camera, so public speaking is not my thing. So I'm going to try my best here, and I'm excited to share what I know. But okay, so when I hear connecting, not performing, what does that mean to me personally? So to me, like performing is more like, it feels very polished and controlled and scripted. And like when I'm trying to do it, it's like me thinking, oh, am I good enough? Like every 10 seconds. And like you're trying to tell people what you think they want to hear and like what the audience thinks, like, what they want. And I can see why people get so turned off by social media because they think that's how it is. And it can be so exhausting. Whereas like connecting is messier, but it's like fun and relatable. And, it's like you're saying something real enough that the right person is like, hey, oh, I know, I get this person. I know them. And that's the way that you can connect. It's more like a conversation and not a script. I know that when Tammy and I are interviewing people and they have like their notes and they're trying to like say their mission statement word for word, we're like, put that down. No, have a conversation with us. We're going to prompt you with this question and just tell us why you love what you do. And then it's crazier, like how much looser and relaxed somebody will get in front of the camera when you do this. And then you got to remember, like, the best moments are always like those in between moments when you mess up and you laugh, or you have to like reset, or you have like an intrusive thought that comes through. You have to like make a funny comment about it. I think like that's where the real connection lives. And people see that and they're like, yes, that's, more than like the scripted trying to be perfect and polished and, stoic and robotic. So,
yes,
that's what I think.
I think that's great. Thanks, Brittany. Tammy, can you share a moment where social media felt heavy or performative and how you shifted out of that? I know that you're very active online, so this is a great question for you.
I think social media often can feel heavy for me. I think it can feel like pressure, like I have to do this thing. And I know in coaching clients that I work with, and I know we're specifically talking about social media today, but I will often say, like, is social media feeling like it's lining up for you? Is there some other way that you want to try to connect with with people other than that. And maybe like today's not a good day. So I'm very permissive with myself. Like if I'm not feeling it today, then I'm just like pause. I'm either not aligned with the content. It's feeling heavy. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Like maybe I just don't care. Like not that I don't care, but I don't really understand what I want to say and why. So I think you're going to hear me on repeat a little bit today. Like I feel like knowing why you want to get your message across is number one. And I'll get more into that, but like is it driving sales? Is it like why is this is feeling heavy for a reason? So let's just like honor that reason and maybe just take a pause and come back to it. So when
Mhm.
I shift out of that, like I really want to regulate myself because like Jessica gave me the nicest introduction ever. But in order to like be genuine, and because that's also work, right? To like let down your guard and be able to be vulnerable and be able to show up like yourself, I have to regulate myself. So I'm often like going for a walk and trying to think about what I want to say. And if I'm not feeling it, I just don't share at that moment because it's not an emergency. Nothing is an emergency. None of this is an emergency.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I think that's very great. To me, watching your content, I'm always amazed because I've tried to go live and do videos, and I feel like so out of my element. I can't get over it. But for when I watch you, I'm like, it's so natural for you. And I
I think
think that's so nice to see.
it's really like timing is everything. So, and I know there's like men on the call, but like where am I at in my cycle? I'm not necessarily going live if I'm not feeling it. And I also feel permission because of the businesses I've created that I get to be myself. Like the well is like all about being ourselves. Photography is all about being myself. So that's what people expect of me. And I did have a lawyer say to me once, the best thing you can do to protect yourself legally is always show up authentic as you can yourself, because then no one expects anything different of you. Because I feel like whenever there's like a legal issue, it's because there was a misunderstanding of the expectations. So just always be as much yourself as you can. It's the best way to protect yourself legally. So I do it for the law.
Yeah, that's good. Now, for you, Josie, what does showing up authentically actually look like in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, I think we're all going to mimic this, Brittany, Tammy, and I. It goes back to being genuine, being authentic, and also like um, we're running our own business because we are passionate about what we're doing. And um, I think for me, if you are passionate about what you're doing, it's going to come through. So it's going to come through in how you're interacting with your customers, how you are showing up online, in any way that you're interacting with people. Um, how it shows up for me every day. And I'll use this example because my husband and I own a business together here in Rosthern. And the nature of the business is his passion. It's totally his passion. Um, there's parts of it that are my passion, but I like helping behind the scenes and doing all of the things and connecting with people in the community and being involved in the community through our business. And so while the work itself might not be my passion, the other parts are. And so I think it's important to remember that, you know, we might be passionate about, I see there's someone here that makes jewelry. So you might be passionate about making the jewelry, but you're not so passionate about getting online and sharing that. And so how can you do that in a way that works for you is sometimes hard to figure out. But know that you're not the only person that um, is struggling with that. We're all just you can't be good at everything. And what Tammy said too, I really like, is giving yourself the permission to say, "Hey, I'm not going to show up online today, or it's not working for me this week, and I'm just going to give myself that break, and then I'm going to come back next week with a." Fresh ideas and just ready to kind of get some content out on my page. But
Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks, Josie. Tammy, why do you think so many business owners feel like they have to perform online?
Because I think a lot of people are doing that. Like I think when you go online, And it's funny, like yesterday I had to film these reels and I had a girl filming the reels with me because we are teaching a workshop and I felt pressure to like perform. And I said to her, how am I going to do this in an authentic way? Because her style is very different than mine. So her style is more performative. It is more memorizing lines and acting. And I'm not known for that. My brand is definitely not that. So I felt that nervousness and I felt like, oh, I have to perform. And I just said, I just want to still try to be myself even in this when I'm like acting in this role. And I think I even feel nervous about how people are going to receive that then afterwards. But I think it's okay. It's experimentation. So that wasn't your question, but your question was, why do I think so many business owners feel like they have to? Yeah, I think there's just a lot of pressure that it's the only way to like make money. And I think there's pressure that your followers equals your income, which is not true at all. I mean, Britt and I know that we had like no followers on Merge, barely, and we made like quick money on that because of our experience and our connections in real life. So leverage your connections in real life, use your social media. To me, it's more like confirmation of what I say to be true. So when I meet someone at a networking event, they can hop onto my social media and see, oh, she is who she says she is. So I try to think of it that way, I try to remove the pressure off myself because it is pressure. And you think, well, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be successful, which is not true at all. You do, like, I know a lot of business owners who do business in the way that works best for them. And that might not necessarily be showing up online. But I love showing up online because I just try to think of it in a way like I'm just connecting with people and serving people and trying to make more friends.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Brittany, how can someone tell the difference between being authentic versus just being unfiltered?
So I think like some people, when they think like what real means is like they're saying everything or oversharing, and that can be like almost overwhelming in a way, especially if you're not really giving much value to it. Whereas, when you're authentic, you're like you're intent in what you're sharing and making sure that there's value in it. And you want, instead of the viewer to feel overwhelmed, you want them to like walk away with something clear and meaningful. And this is funny for me because I am an unfiltered overshare. Like when, give me a slight pause in a conversation, I try to fill it with whatever I can. But the older I get, the more self-aware I'm becoming of like, maybe wait until you're invited to share and then you want it to mean something. And this could take a lot of work and that's okay. I'm still trying to hone and changing this for myself as well. But I always just have to think like unfiltered is like impulsive, whereas like authentic is more intentional in what you're saying.
I think that's very valuable.
Thank
you. Yeah, I feel that it's now, like you said, as you get older, you realize that you don't have to respond right away. You don't have to, all these things, you can take a moment, think, pause, and then respond, and then react. And I think that does come with maturity. And so I think that's a very valid point. Josie, what are some small ways business owners can start showing up more like themselves online?
It's important to remember that people are following you or your business page because they like you. They want to support you. They wouldn't be following you if they didn't, plain and simple. Even just, Tammy said too, being at an event and then sharing your social media and people start following you that way because they met you, they had a conversation with you, they resonated with what you're saying and they want more of that. So it's like taking how you would be out in public and putting that online. I know sometimes it's hard, but even little things like a day in the life, that's a really common one. That's really actually quite easy for business owners to just kind of pop on their story on Facebook or Instagram and just say, hey, this is what I'm doing today. And it doesn't have to be in video format. It can be in photo format. It can say, hey, I've opened up my shop today and then I'm going to work on this. And then I'm working on this. And then, we walked over to the neighboring business for lunch. Like it can be as simple as that because that is what you are already doing. You're not having to like force and make up a day to just post on social media. This is what you're already doing. And I think too, like your passion will come through when you are posting, if you're being open and vulnerable, I guess. But showing behind the scenes, I think is a good way for people to get to know you a little bit more, and not just the fluff, not just the pretty posted picture of your jewelry, but how you made it. And maybe, it was hard that you made it. Maybe you spilled your beads everywhere on the floor, and like, we're all human. People just want to see that, and it helps us to kind of relate, or it, even spark conversation, especially if you're going into a store later and say, hey, I saw that on social media and that's pretty funny. But that probably sucked that happened. But it's just kind of showing up in that way, just being yourself. It doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to have a filming day. You can just, post a couple things, simple. Yeah.
I think that's great. Especially for rural business owners, because like you said, your day in the life of you, if you're out, and having lunch and doing these different things in town, that's promoting those other businesses. And then all the people who like and follow you are gonna be like, oh, Josie was having lunch there. It looked good. We should go there. Because it is very powerful. I know that one time Tammy had a facial somewhere and it looked so magical that I had to go and book at the same place because I trusted her experience. And so I think too, there's power within this when you are, when you do have people who are watching you. It's powerful how much you can influence other people and support other businesses and people in that. So
yeah, and you know what, you just brought up something that I totally forgot to mention was the trust building component. And that's very it's good that you brought that up, because building that trust with your potential customers or current customers is really important. And also to remember that not every single post has to lead to a direct sale. So just because you post it doesn't mean your sales are going to go up instantly. You're building that trust with people who then will come and support you. Anyway.
And your sales might not increase, but your neighbors might. And then that's what helps, especially rural communities, thrive, is by supporting each other and by, helping each other grow. I mean, and the city is the same thing, but because CF focuses on rural, I'm talking about rural, but it really does impact these rural communities. The more we can support each other and help generate sales all around. Tammy, what would you say to someone who is scared to show their face or their voice?
I would say, me too. Of course you are. It's terrifying. We don't have training for this. Like, entrepreneurs aren't like we don't have public speaking training unless we pay for it. We're expected to be journalists and TV stars and influencers and all these things, and we don't know what we're doing. That's not what we signed up for. We usually had something really passionate or something that we care about, or we want to make money and have freedom and support our family. And then now we're all of a sudden expected to show up on this relatively new marketing tool that before it was billboards. And like when I started, I mean, it's not quite been 3 decades, but almost been 3 decades. I was like 19 and I had a phone book ad, and I had, there was like the billboards. I always wanted to do one of those, but it's just, of course you're scared. This is like totally not in your wheelhouse. And anyone who makes this look good has practiced a lot or had training or done a lot of work to get there, because every time you're having to show up online and say something out loud, you're doing a lot of inner work. So it takes like so much time. And I think the other thing is like, and I know we're going to get into comparison, but not looking at someone else's professional, their video and thinking you should be able to do it like that right off the start. But the ways that I think to get started in it is just get clear. And it's like stuff Josie's and Britt's mentioning too, like, why are you posting? And I'm going to keep coming back to that, because what's the goal or what's the intention? And is it connection? Do you just want to connect with your audience? Do you want to serve your audience? And like when Josie talks about, or with the facial example, or going to and posting like a coffee shop you love, you're just doing it for no reason, no expectations of end result. There's no end result wanted. You just literally from your heart want to show that thing off that you love. And I think show products off you love, show businesses off you love, and don't worry about any end result. But then so that to me would be like a connection. If you're looking for sales, then I would say go in with that intention and be excited about what you're selling. So if you have a service or a product, like believe in it and be excited about it and tell people why. And I always think of that example of when I was a hairstylist at the beginning of my career too. When I started in photography, I was doing both at the same time. And I remember one educator coming in and saying, if you don't offer your client the hairspray or the products to make their hair look good, like how you've made it, they're ultimately going to be disappointed in their service with you because they can't get your hair to look the way they did it. So it's a disservice to not sell something that you feel helps people. So whenever I think like printing, like if it's photography or coaching, like printing photos on your wall or selling images, like that is a service. I'm doing something good for that person and there's no pressure to buy it. So going in without that sort of desperation, but just knowing that you're giving people something really good that really will help them. And they obviously, like Josie said too, like they want to see you. Otherwise they wouldn't be following you. And they're welcome to unfollow you if they don't like your content. I'm always like, every now and then I'm like, just unfollow me if you don't like my content. And then the other piece was education. So I think like, what are the 3 reasons you're sort of showing up? Connection, sales, education. And know that. So just get clear on that one thing you're trying to get across in that moment. And then just communicate the one thing and then get off and take a break and rest. Because after you leap, you have to rest.
Yes, that's wise. Josie, if someone only has a few hours a week for social media, what should they focus on?
As Jess said in my lovely introduction, by the way, which I never thanked you for, I'm all about how can we make this sustainable and manageable. A lot of us are a one woman or one man show, and so how can we use our time to show up online that's going to benefit us, and that feels obviously true to us. Something I think about is kind of putting in like a 30-minute weekly strategy of like, okay, hey, on Mondays, I'm going to log in to, and it doesn't matter what platforms you're using, but I'm going to log in, I'm going to review my content from last week. I'm going to see how it performed. I'm going to maybe schedule my content for this week. And then maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to pop back in. I'm going to interact or engage with some comments. And then Friday or Thursday, Friday, maybe I'm going to post to my story. Like it can be whatever works for you on your time schedule. Sometimes Sundays maybe is a better day to kind of schedule the content. But I find using the scheduling through both Facebook and Instagram is super helpful because then you schedule your posts for the week or for the month, however you choose to do it. And then you kind of don't have to worry about showing up again unless you want to, when it feels right, when you are in the mood. You're not forcing yourself to a live that you said you were going to do 3 days from now, and then that day you're just really not feeling it and not in it, can't get the words out, so it's not in your benefit. So my advice is always to just keep it manageable. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Some people have the capacity to post every day, and it feels great for them to show up and talk on their stories all the time. And the other thing we do have to remember is sometimes people do have a paid person that is doing this. Lots of people don't, but some people do. So if you're comparing yourself to someone who's pumping out all of this content, don't do it. Just do what works for you. But yeah, my tips are to just kind of use the scheduling features and interact with your comments and your messages, and just keep it simple. And then once you get more comfortable with that, then you can expand. You can add more, but just keep it simple to start, and it'll work.
Thanks, Josie. Tammy, for you, what type of content actually builds connection?
I find that the content that I post that gets, I guess it's like depending how I'm thinking about connection, but if I'm thinking about people actually like reaching out and having some of that back and forth with people, the real photos of people doing things together, like not whenever I do professional photos at an event, they never get the same results of connection online as just an iPhone photo. or iPhone video. So I do feel that that's a direct contradiction to what Brittany and I do for a living, but it's fine. Because there are brands that still need that really professional content and want that. But when I post just an iPhone snap of a group of women together having a good time, nothing performs better on my Instagram than that. So I think people want to be included. They want to feel a part of it. They want to feel part of your brand or your business or your service. So putting real customers in the images with you and tagging them and making them feel like they're a part of it builds the most connection if there's any way to do that. So either they're giving you like reviews on they're doing recording a video for you or going live or talking about you, or you could ask them to do that or send you a photo of them with their product if they don't feel comfortable doing that. But to me, anytime you can have like a real customer, a real person and yourself, because they often want to see you too, and you two connecting, that's like the magic. That's like the most biggest results on social. And it's like not hard to do. Every time I host a circle or a photo shoot, or I just take a selfie with the person. And that's the content people love the most.
Fascinating. Just so you know, Sage Hill has hired Merge a few times now,
Yeah.
and the content that you created for us does very well. Because it's hard as a business to, you guys have been there for some events, and so you were able to capture what you're describing. And so for us in our uses, they do very well. So for anyone else who's looking for people to do content for them, I highly recommend Merge. Just a little plug.
Yes. Just FYI, yes, our professional photos and videos do amazing too, but it
Yes.
is just for accessibility and
Yes.
being by yourself. I feel like there are a lot of ways you can still do it without that, but we're happy to travel.
Yeah, there you go. So for you, Britt, how do you create content that feels natural instead of forced?
First, thank you for that plug. Love it. Okay, so I have to always try to remember that when I'm capturing for clients, like I have to remind myself that the job isn't for me to make people look impressive. It's for me to make them look like recognizable. And then how you can do that for yourself, like when you're making your own content. And I said this before, like put the script away and, work more on prompts about why you love things. And if you're having trouble with that connection and like getting rid of the performance, maybe have somebody there by your camera that you have set up, like a friend or your partner that you can talk to more so. And then like you could talk to them about that. And it kind of like makes it a little bit more natural in that way. Another thing that I found is to get more natural content is like when people are actually like, doing something. You see like makeup artists like doing their makeup while they're talking about something, or if you're a graphic designer, you're doing a sketch while you're talking about something. It gives you something to do and get out of your head a little bit. And I had this like really aha moment when I was capturing some content for my sister. She owned like a little shop and interior design store. And we did like the whole interviewing part. And like, yes, that was actually kind of tough because you're trying to get her to say all these things. But then when we captured the B-roll, like little things around her shop, I still had her mic'd up and she'd pick up like a mug and she'd tell a story about it, like where she found this and who made it and why she has this in her shop. And then she does this weird thing where she names her furniture. So like this chair over there was called Fred, or her bright yellow couch in the corner was named Stella. Or like she started like randomly singing because she likes to narrate her life. And I kept recording that and I'm like, this is perfect. This is showing exactly who she is, her quirky self. And those are going to attract her ideal clients who like see like, oh, this woman like, she thinks outside the box. Like I want that in my interior design, or oh, I want to go to her shop because she does have very unique pieces that she cares about, and they're creative nicely. So that's another way that you can kind of get out of your head and create some natural content. And then I kind of wanted to speak to this. I was hoping that there was like a question where I can kind of bring this in a little bit. I feel like this is the time to do it. Is like there's a visual side that people tend to overlook, a subconscious visual side, and you almost want to make your like environment look natural. And I learned this in film school, like in horror movies, you have this like canted angle where it feels weird and eerie and evokes that emotion from somebody. I mean, we're not making films here, but you can kind of think about that when you're composing your shot. If you really want a shot that you want to connect with somebody, like have it at eye level so that you're speaking to them, like this, not like overhanging them, or you're small and it doesn't feel like you know what you're speaking to, or like get rid of clutter in the background. So like it's not causing anxiety. Maybe go by a nice natural window where natural light is on you. And it's a very subconscious way of making it look natural and easy. I know it's almost contradicting the forced thing, but it's little things like that that can put the viewer at ease and make things seem natural. But yeah, I just want to say, like, at the end of the day, the goal isn't perfection, but it's familiarity. And it's, if it exists in real life, that's what lands, is just trying to be authentic in your own space and be your true self. And those are some little tips on like kind of how to get you there. So hopefully that helps.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Tammy, what makes an image or video feel real instead of staged?
Well, I just want to like riff off what Britt was saying, because I think she's really just touched on something there, something that I really didn't want to do, and that was be prepared. I used to think that if I over prepared, or if I prepared, not over prepared, but if I prepared too much, then it wouldn't be authentic. And what I realized was, you're right, Britt, like creating that environment, because what you're doing is you're not memorizing your lines, but you're making yourself comfortable. You're creating an environment that supports you. So rather than thinking, I'm preparing so that this can look perfect, I'm thinking, I'm preparing my environment so that I can feel calm and regulated. So it might be things like, what do you need? Like as simple as like, yeah, what does your room look like? I love that, Britt. Like setting the stage based on what your brand is. And then what do you need to do to get yourself ready? So do you need to get your hair done? Do you need to get your makeup done? Does that align with your brand? Maybe, maybe not. If you're like yoga, you'll probably be makeupless. Maybe your hair's up. But what do you need to do to feel your best so that the only thing you have to conquer is speaking to the camera? So I will often it's like the dry shampoo. It's the really good window light in front of me. It's like finding a way to set up my phone so that I don't feel awkward about trying to hold on to my phone or have my phone in a certain spot. So all those things really do matter. You don't just show up and it's easy. It's like even the most natural, authentic videos have preparedness behind them. And I think that's just something you learn with time and with doing, but taking care of yourself, like even just finding an environment where you won't be interrupted. You'll be able to stay in your thought. Once you get in the flow, you'll be able to stay there. So to me, be prepared, and then, but don't over prepare, which would be the overthinking, the worrying about what you're going to say. And then just have a few little notes. Like I'll often have like, what's the 1 point or 2 points I want to get across today? So I'll have those somewhere so I can just remind myself, because my mind will go blank as soon as I get the camera in front of me. So everything I can to set myself up for success, because I love myself and because I want to do well and because I believe in what I'm selling. So it's like all those things come first, and then you can show up and it can look really real, even though really there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And I know, Tammy, you've worked with Heather Morrison, speaking coach. I have also, and I think that it's all about preparing and practicing. And so even though today I know all three of you and I'm very comfortable in this setting and being here, I still took time to make sure that I was organized and I had thought about what I wanted to say, so that, yes, I wanted it to be casual, but I also wanted to make sure that I came across genuine. Right?
Yeah.
And
So you
I
can be
think,
yourself.
yeah. And I think that, yeah, it just, you need to be prepared so that you have your thoughts together and all those things. Josie, what are some simple ways small business owners can improve their visuals without a big budget?
I want to kind of first mimic what Tammy and Brittany are saying, and you too, Jess. But I have this one instance where I was going to an event with a colleague, and she asked me what I was wearing, and I just thought, I don't know, something from my closet. Like my wardrobe's pretty, transparent. I can dress it up, I can dress it down. And she was like, "Oh, like, aren't you gonna wear like dress pants?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't even own dress pants. Like, that's not even my thing." But then all of a sudden I was feeling like, if I don't wear the dress pants, am I not going to fit in or whatever, right? Overthinking. And then now I'm not prepared, because now I'm thinking I didn't dress properly or whatever. But it's like, you have to dress to feel comfortable and to be yourself. And if you're wearing clothes that don't fit, or things that are uncomfortable that don't reflect your personality, you're not going to be able to make these authentic connections at this event that you're at. So it's kind of the same online. So I'm glad that you guys kind of touched on that. But improving visuals on a small budget. Using your phone is a great tool. You don't need to have like a professional camera. You can use your phone. It goes a lot into also, again, what Tammy and Brittany are saying. If your space is beautiful and you have like a less cluttered space and you have some natural light and you have these things, it makes it easy. When I worked and did social media for the Station Arts Center here in Rosthern, the building itself was so beautiful. There was nothing you really needed to do. So like to post on Instagram, to post on stories, I could literally take a picture of anywhere in the building, inside or out, and just post it and then say, hey, we're whatever it is, whether you're closed early or maybe you have like a lunch special, but it's not actually like the lunch, but people see the photo and they resonate with that because they know the space and it's creating this comfort. It's bringing them back. Maybe it's nostalgic for them if they don't live here anymore. And it's simple. It can be as simple as that. So just using your phone. Sometimes people find value in sort of having like a day where they know they're going to just shoot some content with their phone. So if you're someone who sells products, just kind of like lining up a space to take pictures of all of your products. And then you have them there to post either instantly or like throughout the coming weeks. Sorry. Also, platforms like Canva, if you really wanted to kind of expand into a little bit of that, that platform costs about $120 a year, I think, and it can do wonders. So if you want to just you have a group photo and you just want to take one person out and put them on your image, you can do that. It's really simple. So that's definitely something I always recommend for small businesses because it is cost effective and pretty easy to learn. But using your phone is a great way to do that. And then when you are working on something bigger that's maybe outside of social media, maybe your website or something, and then you are hiring Merge to do your photos, then they take that content and you have all that for your website, but then now you can also use it for your social media. And I do actually appreciate, like Sage Hill, for example, when they are using their content that Merge has taken at their events. One thing that I notice is, having gone to some Sage Hill events, is that it feels the same as it does in the photos. So when you see the photo of the event that Tammy and Brittany have taken, it feels exactly like that when you're at the event. So it's there is some value in that, of course, as well. So
Thanks, Josie. I have another question for you. What are some unique challenges rural business owners face with social media?
yes, so this kind of goes back to what I said before, where lots of us are one man or one woman shows, and we're just all of a sudden expected to know how to do all of these things. I think of it sometimes too as like if you're not comfortable with finances and you outsource your financing, this is something that you can do here. You're not comfortable with social media, maybe you've tried, but you know that it's important and you need to be on social media. You can outsource it. You can find someone probably within your community, probably even someone you know, whether that's for them to take over or even to show you a little bit more or to kind of, kind of help you. A lot of the businesses I look around in my community, we have like businesses who have been here for years. So they've been here for 20 years, for 30 years. And now all of a sudden, people are asking them like, why aren't you on Facebook or why aren't you on social media? So I do feel for these rural businesses because all of a sudden you have to try to figure out how to navigate these challenges. And lots of times when you have owned a business for 20 or 30 years, and you do have staff, well, those staff might have been with you for those 20 years and maybe aren't necessarily willing to learn how to use Facebook or Instagram. So something you can do is, if you are hiring, you could always incorporate a little bit of that into a job description for someone you're hiring. If you're hiring like a kind of admin staff or anybody really, because you never know who that can attract. If they really know social media, maybe then you can train them on the other areas, and it'll benefit you in that way. The other thing that with rural businesses is, like, our community here, I think, is just over 1,600 people, 16 to 1,800 people. So our follower base is significantly smaller than if we were probably in the city. There's just more people there, right? So I think that's where it does come into the like sharing what you're doing with other businesses can come into play and can be really helpful to help you also build your follower base. But if I'm posting on my business account that I went to this business place for lunch, and then I went and got my tires changed at this place, and then I went and got my hair done at this place, and it's all within the community, most likely some of my followers are going to follow some of those pages that I posted because they maybe didn't know that they were on social media or didn't know that they existed. I think for our community, we're really good at saying, hey, if you're coming out to, in the summer, we have a Lil Bean ice cream. So it's like, hey, when you're coming out to Lil Bean, because we know everybody's coming out to Lil Bean, swing by our store. These are our hours. And while you're at it, also check out this store. And I feel like our businesses are really good at kind of those cross promoting. And then Lil Bean will share it on their story. And then, all of those things, they all work together. So that will help you build your follower base. And it also, again, reiterating the fact that just because you have a small following doesn't mean you have a small amount of revenue coming in, right? But yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Josie. Tammy, how can small businesses stay visible without burning out?
I have been through the whole gamut of burning out, doing too much, being overwhelmed, hiring it out, having that be pretty good, but then cost too much money. Maybe I don't have the revenue at that moment, and coming back now to doing my own social media. So I've kind of done all of the things. And I find the two things that help me the most. So one is what Josie mentioned already, is a content calendar. How boring, right? Like, I'm a creative. I don't want a content calendar, but that's like the best thing that I can do, is just plan my content. But then what used to happen was I would just have no idea what to put in my content. But now, I know it's controversial, but I think for small business owners, especially women who have multiple roles, the best thing we can do is use AI. And the way that I use AI is I pay for chat. I pay for the monthly. I'm thinking of switching platforms, but I haven't yet. And I speak into it, and I just tell it all my thoughts. And then I tell it very specifically what I want. So here's all the things I'm thinking about feminine leadership. Can you please help me find maybe some quotes on this, or pull quotes out of what I'm saying? Right now, for instance, I'm recording my talking for every time Jessica's asked me a question. I have recorded it so I can pop it into AI and have it help me understand what I said in bite-sized pieces that I can post. And I use that. Like, I use every opportunity I can to create content. So I thought, well, right now my hair is done. I've got good lighting on me. Jessica's asking me questions. I'm going to have something smart to say. I'm going to record this and use this for content. So anything you can do to make it easy for yourself, and then popping it into AI, especially for someone, if you have ADHD like I do, I feel like every 40 plus woman has ADHD, but anything like that, it can help you just break down your thoughts into newsletters. And then also, you don't have to, I don't like copy and paste what it says. I'll take it as a format and then just like edit it a little bit so it's still in my words. But I feel like Kathy, my chat, she's pretty good at nailing my voice now. I'm always like, refine, Kathy, stop making it sound like AI. So, they're pretty forgiving when you insult them.
Yeah. I think it's great. Thanks. Yeah, I agree. Brittany, how do you deal with comparison or feeling like you're not doing enough online?
Okay, this is a great question for me because I feel like I went to therapy for this type of stuff. One thing that my sister told me one time that's really stuck with me, she's like, comparison is the thief of joy, which is so true. And especially online, because you're always like comparing yourself, like yourself right now, like almost your worst self that you could subconsciously think that to like somebody's best self that they're posting online. Like, and what Tammy and I see, and Josie probably see a lot, is like we see a lot of the stuff that doesn't make it online, like the retakes or like, the awkward starts, the stuff that gets scrapped in editing, it's like if you saw the full process, then you'd like feel very differently to what you're comparing yourself to. And like what you're seeing is very curated and edited and like sometimes reshot. And it's not fake, but it's definitely filtered. So a couple of things that I try to do to help myself is I try to like narrow my focus. So when I go on social media, I don't want to look at everybody because then it kind of makes me feel icky, like I'm not doing enough and I'm not keeping up. I just try to like pick a few voices that really inspire me and just tune everything out. So that kind of keeps me creative and feeling good about myself. I tried, and we talked about this too. It's not about the views, it's like about consistency and really connecting to the right audience. And lots of the times you could just be like, did I show up this week? Did it feel easier than last time? And those are huge wins and they should be celebrated. It's just not like, oh, I got this many likes or this many views. No, it's more about like how you grew more so. And another good one is like, I try to use comparison as informative and not judgmental. So like, instead of thinking I'm not doing enough, be like, oh, I felt kind of triggered by this post. Why did I feel triggered? Is it because I want to be doing what they're doing? Oh, is it? Okay, well, how can I do this in my own way? And you kind of flip it a little bit. It's a lot of like shadow work if you guys are into that stuff. So, but it's very helpful and like therapeutic that way. And it also like can turn it into like a creative journey of sorts. But yeah, another thing that I want to remind is like people aren't thinking about you all the time. Like you think like, oh no, everybody saw that or something like that. People are going to forget about it within like a few minutes. So don't be too hard on yourself because people are going to forget. So yeah, the goal isn't trying to keep up with everybody else, but it's trying to stay in your lane long enough so that people start to recognize you. So yeah, that's what I try to remember. And that saying like the shoe cobbler's children go without shoes. That's me with social media. Like I make so much that I don't post a lot. So I'm actually trying to take some of this for myself. Like just post it, get over yourself and don't care about that judgmental or that comparison. Just do it. And start getting into like, the consistency of it. And that's the real winner. So
Thank you, Britt. And I think that's true. I mean, if it's not really for you, then don't do it. But if you, like everybody said, but if you have a goal and you want to start increasing revenue or whatever it is, or sales, all these things, then maybe you have to find your voice online in some way that makes you feel genuine and comfortable. Tammy, have you ever posted something that felt vulnerable? That would be yes. And what happened?
People liked it. They related. They commented. That's actually like such a hard thing to do. But then when you do it and it's really honest, then everyone's like, oh, like you get all those people coming and cheering you on. I know that there's negative social media that can come into play, comments and stuff as you get more famous and more known. Thankfully, I am not known or famous enough that I have not had anything like that. But I think you just weed out the people who you don't want to work with. I think like if you want vulnerable clients, which I do, so I show up vulnerably. It's like that old adage they used to say in photography all the time is show what you want to shoot. So be who you want to attract. If you want that really like elevated, wealthy coaching client, then you need to be like elevated and wealthy and have your hair perfect and have everything perfect to attract that person. So who do you want to work with? So I like working with vulnerable people. So I tend to be fairly vulnerable, but I still, have a side of the professional and like the trust piece is really important to me. So yeah, I think just nothing bad happened is the point. I've even cried on camera. I've done it. I feel like I'm so vulnerable on camera. And I love what Britt said, because I say this to my kids all the time. No one's thinking about you. They're all thinking about themselves. So don't worry
Yes.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what helps you stay grounded in your voice and message, Tammy?
For me, I think just like really great community and friends and people around me. And knowing that my identity is not wrapped up in my work, but my work is something I do that I enjoy. And I really, there's like a common thread that runs my work of women and supporting women. And I love women and I love myself. And I think just really just staying really clear on what I'm trying to accomplish at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, what's a win for me? And it's a win at the end of the day for me would be that I've amplified some woman's voice. Maybe she's had some success and she's connected with someone else who's made a difference in her life, whether that's me or somebody else. So I think just like staying grounded in my voice and message means getting really, really clear on what I'm trying to accomplish and why I'm trying to accomplish that to the very, very base. And mine is amplifying women's voices. So whether and women having like choice and autonomy. So whether that's through photography or through the well, coaching, it doesn't really matter because it's the same thing across the board. So having a clear message that you know in yourself helps you talk about it. And the more you talk about it, the easier it gets.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That wraps up our 17 questions. Ladies, we did it. I thought when I prepared these questions, I'm like, there's going to be too many. But here we are. We did it.
There is a question, an interesting question in the chat, and actually, it's something it's from Dawn, and she says, "I'm older, and I'm in Dawn, and the same thing. And the socials favors younger women. It takes extra courage to show up and be myself." And she said, and I know she has a brand new space here in Bruno, and it's beautiful. And her jewelry, I love it. I actually have one of her custom pieces. And she says, she's featured customers, but her question is, any advice for someone who is older, showing up as myself and not scaring off those who aren't our age? And I agree with her wholeheartedly. I feel old sometimes when I'm on there.
I feel like my question for that would be though, who is your target audience? Because if your target audience is 25-year-olds, you need to be showing 25-year-olds. But if your target audience is like me, like then show 45 plus, 55, 65, like then that's who you want to show. And the algorithm will work for you in your favor for that. I follow a lot of these women who show style like 50, 60 plus and hairstyles and different clothing, and they're so creative. And my algorithm is like all that. So I think we have to believe that we can show up and the right people will be attracted. But at the same time, you do need to know who you're trying to attract. Because if your jewelry or clothing is geared towards one specific niche, then you do need to be showing that on your social. So I would love to know a bit more about the business.
Mm-hmm. Another comment here for older folks as a 30-year-old, just be yourself, be fun, and don't crap on millennials and Gen Z, and you'll go far. Some of my favorite creators are 60 plus.
It's so true. That's a really good point. Like I would be the same here as Andrea, and I age doesn't matter. Like age isn't why I follow someone. I follow them because of their content. And I actually do follow you, Dawn, and I did see your new space, and I do think it's beautiful, and I think you should expand on that, and hopefully you can find a way to be comfortable with that. But I think that yeah, no problem. I think what Andrea is saying is true. Yeah, don't make fun of the younger generations, and then you'll be fine.
And two, like Tammy said, the best posts that do the posts that do the best are the ones where you're in it with some of these people who are in your store, maybe buying it, trying it on, and you're all in the photos together, and you take a selfie with your phone. Dawn, it sounds like things like that will really work for you because you're coming across genuine and you're connecting with your clients. So sorry.
Do we have a second if anybody else has any questions?
Yeah. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for the group?
If not, on behalf of Sage Hill and IBDS, ladies, thank you so much. This has been so great. We're honored to have you here, and we've loved to work with all of you, but I think you put a real genuine spin on this, helping us. I come from a background where my husband and I own a lumber yard, and I'll be honest, I know nothing about the lumber, and I'm trying to do his social media and trying to get him to stand in front of a camera and put his wisdom out. Oh, it's like bonking my head, but he's getting better at it. But I'll tell him to keep trying.
Yeah. I mean, but again, Jenny, like those photos, even if you guys are just like in the background, right, and take the selfies, having those photos with your grandkids pretending they're going to work, all those things, like your customers like to see that raw, real life.
We actually used our granddaughter. One of them, did a couple little things for us. They exploded on our Facebook page. So those things work. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, ladies. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And this was a wonderful session. And we hope to do something like this again in the future. So
absolutely.
And if there's no other questions, have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
You,
bye. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.